This video will teach you how to name covalent compounds. When naming covalent compounds, the element with the lower group number, or further to the left on the periodic table, is written first in the name. The element with the higher group number, or further to the right on the periodic table, is written second. If both elements are in the same group, the element closer to the bottom of the column is named first. When the compound contains both a halogen and an oxygen, the halogen is always written first. The root of the second element is written with the suffix IDE. Greek prefixes are used to indicate the number of atoms of each element present. The prefix mono is omitted unless it is absolutely necessary to avoid confusion. When the Greek prefix comes before an element that starts with a vowel, the A or O at the end of the prefix is dropped. Greek prefixes are used on both elements if there are more than one atom of each element present. The Greek prefixes are as follows. 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, 8 is octa, 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. Certain compounds are almost always referred to by their common names. Examples include water and ammonia. If written using conventional naming methods, water would be dihydrogen monoxide and ammonia would be nitrogen trihydride. Let's look at some examples. Our first example is N2O3. Nitrogen is further to the left on the periodic table than oxygen, so it will be named first. There are 2 atoms of nitrogen, so we will use the prefix di. The first word of this compound is dinitrogen. Oxygen is further to the right on the periodic table, so it will be named last. Because it is listed last, we will use the root of the element and the suffix IDE. There are 3 atoms of oxygen, so we use the prefix tri. The last word is trioxide. This molecule is dinitrogen trioxide. Our next example is CO2. Carbon is further to the left on the periodic table than oxygen, so it will be named first. There is 1 atom of carbon. The Greek prefix for 1 is mono. However, the prefix mono is only used when necessary to avoid confusion, so we will not be using the prefix. The first part of this compound is carbon. Oxygen is further to the right on the periodic table, so it will be named last. Because it is listed last, we will use the suffix IDE. There are 2 atoms of oxygen, so we use the prefix di. The last part of this compound is dioxide. This molecule is carbon dioxide. Our next example is CCl4. Carbon is further to the left on the periodic table than chlorine, so it will be named first. There is 1 atom of carbon. The Greek prefix for 1 is mono. However, the prefix mono is only used when necessary to avoid confusion, so we will not be using the prefix. The first part of this compound is carbon. Chlorine is further to the right on the periodic table, so it will be named last. Because it is listed last, we will use the suffix IDE. There are 4 atoms of chlorine, so we use the prefix tetra. This last part of the compound is tetrachloride. This molecule is carbon tetrachloride. Let's look at S2Br6. Sulfur is further to the left on the periodic table than bromine, so it will be named first. There are 2 atoms of sulfur. The Greek prefix for 2 is di. This first part of the compound is disulfur. Bromine is farther to the right on the periodic table, so it will be named last. Because it is listed last, we will use the suffix IDE. There are 6 atoms of bromine, so we will use the prefix hexa. The last word of this compound is hexabromide. This compound is disulfur hexabromide. The last example is P4O10. Phosphorus is further to the left on the periodic table than oxygen, so it will be named first. There are 4 atoms of phosphorus. The Greek prefix for 4 is tetra. The first word of this compound is tetraphosphorus. Oxygen is further to the right on the periodic table, so it will be named last. Because it is listed last, we will use the suffix IDE. There are 10 atoms of oxygen, so we will use the prefix deca. Because deca ends with an A and oxygen starts with an O, we will drop the A. The second word of this compound is decoxide. This compound is tetraphosphorus decoxide. Let's review. When naming covalent compounds, the element with the lower group number or further to the left on the periodic table is written first in the name. The element with the higher group number or further to the right on the periodic table is written second. The root of the second element is written with the suffix IDE. Greek prefixes are used to indicate the number of atoms of each element present.